But look at these hooks. You've got hooks. They're facing one another over on the side of your map with your 3-gen, with your ruin here. Hey, what it do, what it do? It's your boy Q, and welcome back to YouTube, back with some Wilted Rose action for y'all today. A little teaser for what we've got coming up this weekend and some Dead by OCE action. This last weekend, we had 4 teams left that had not seen a loss yet in our double elimination action. In our owned versus endless game, we saw some intense matchups. We saw Huntress on the deadest of dogs. We saw the nurse on Father Campbell's chapel, and we ended on some Blight on the gas heaven. And I promise you guys, y'all ain't gonna believe the way that Blight set ended up here. All right, so leave a comment below. Let me know which trial is your favorite, which play is your favorite, or just say hi. You know, leave a like, of course. That's just gonna help us out with that good old YouTube algorithm. And if y'all do enjoy some comp DVD gameplay just like this, make sure y'all smack that subscribe button, turn those notifications on, because we do post a couple of these videos over on this channel every week. All right, but let's be honest, y'all want to get into the gameplay. Owned versus endless. If y'all want to keep up with what Dead by OCE has going on, I'll put those links, just like the last video, down in the description, as well as my personal links, because you know, we stream, we got Discord. Come kick it with your boy in the community sometime over in our corner of the block. All right, until we catch y'all back here for the next video, though, don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love hard. All right, y'all, it's your boy Q, signing out.
All right, everyone. Apologies for the delay there with the DC from our survivors, or for our survivor from Owned here. It was confirmed to be a game crash. So as per our rule set, it will be a restart of the game and a tier 2 penalty to team Owned. So they will be on -5 going into this first Huntress game here. But we are going to be running it back and going back to the Dead Dawg Saloon here with Dixie, who had the option to change perks and build if needs be. And we're going to see how things change with this game here. But the survivors are not allowed to change their perks from the builds they had previously to this match, giving, I guess, a little bit more so of an advantage to the killer here. So once again, we're going to be seeing our killer breaking this main building here, setting it up for later on in the trial here, and going to see if we can spot out some survivors pretty early on. We have a very similar corrupt intervention spawn. I'm getting a bit of deja vu here, Q.
Yeah, interesting. You know, enough. We had talked about how kind of a strange of a corrupt that we had last round. We do this one is more down like this side here, so that at least helps a little bit. We do see, though, again, finding ourselves a survivor relatively quickly into the trial. This is going to be big. You talked about with the perks being exposed to our killer here. That's a lot of information. It might not seem much to some people, but you know who's got the BT, you know who's got the deli, you got know who's got the unbreakable. It gives you so much information that like you normally kind of have to get like guesswork, or at least until those perks reveal themselves. So it's going to give our killer a little bit of extra knowledge here. The question is, are they going to be able to build up the same and more sort of pressure here? And I think the big thing is keeping cool, calm, and click, because obviously it was something that was out of your control. It's out of the survivor's control too. So I think the big thing is, how do they respond, right?
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of work for them on their plate here for Owned to make a comeback here. But if we see the gen speeds that we saw from Owned just before this trial here, then I think we should be seeing a very, very interesting matchup with our two teams here at a very similar level of skill, very similar caliber of strength here. Now, we are going to be seeing our survivor going into the second stage most likely here. If Dixie chooses to camp this one out here, as we see Jen popping in the distance across the ways, our Zarina being our obsession this time as the Rancor prompts, and we get some little bubble auras of where our survivors are. And the second stage has just been applied. 4 gens still remaining, and a little bit of progress on this gallows here. All 4 pistons pumping, actually reaching that 75% and over mark. And who knows how close our other generators are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, you would imagine with that one being so close, and that when we had seen the first generator pop, we had seen our survivors kind of split up amongst multiple gens. You probably have at least another one nearing completion. It's going to be interesting to see, though, what our survivors here decide to do. Of course, coming in, you are, a little bit behind the 8 ball in the point that like you've got, a point penalty you're trying to make up for. So I don't know if you want to surrender a survivor this quick, but at the same time, if you've got survivors split up on 3 separate gens and maybe you can get this down to 4 gens complete, only 1 gen left by the time the sacrifice comes across, maybe it's worth.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing our other 2 survivors both on generators here on the opposite side of the map. Dixie now knows this because of Rancor as well, knowing exactly where to go to push these survivors over the most active generators here. And hopefully we don't see a chase onto the Zarina. This will be exactly who the killer won't be wanting to be chasing right now, and it is Zarina, our Rancor survivor. You ideally want to be saving them for last to get the most stages and points from that, but at the end of the day, you've got a survivor on a gen, you got to chase them off. Beautiful mind game here at the pallet to be able to get that hit with the hatchet. And now we're going to be taking this chase over to this water tower here with a fairly reasonably safe pallet here. It is a very nice drop from Calave here. And going to be zoned into the corner of the map here with this pallet kick here. Not very many places to run to, but being a 110 killer, the Hunty is going to have a little bit of troubles catching up here. Now we should be seeing a drop chase here to go back over to the generators.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I feel like you've already gotten an injured state, and you had mentioned maybe realizing that since it is indeed your obsession, maybe that's the reason we decided to break chase here, especially because that is a stronger tile, although we could have just taken the breakable door out of the way. But now I'm going to be seeing generator number 3 popping across the way. I couldn't quite hear how much progress was on this top mid-gen, this one here on the Saloon. However, Megan, getting found in a closet, that's not what you want to do, homie. That's a free hook state. And this is going to be a free hook state that's going to be rotated towards the back of the Saloon here, which is tough because, if it's a fully healthy survivor, one of the hardest things is when you see the grabs of the lockers. That means it's 2 health, or it's essentially a health state that gets changed without actually having it changed, right? It's essentially a 2 for 1. That's kind of tough.
Yeah, that's just essentially 2 health states gone immediately and straight onto the hook, as well as a fresh hook as well, which will definitely help Dixie out later on in this trial here, I suspect. Now, the gen split is quite detrimental for the killer here. The survivors have done a decent job at trying to at least break some sort of 3-gen and maintain the building on top. The generator on top of the main building. Sorry, we do see the crows flying up in the distance here as we have a survivor working on that far generator. It is a pretty cozy 3-gen sitting up on the main building, but it's very hard to get those hatchet hits through those gaps on the railing here. Nice juice by A-Nader here as he runs into the edge map to try and waste more time.
Yeah, and this is going to be big because I'm not sure how much pressure is on the generator that's in front of the Saloon. Nor do we know really as far as behind the Saloon, but we know that we have survivors at least on the front one, probably even the one in the back too, when they're both going to just be able to vibe right now. Well, probably not so much on the one in the back, but at least the one across the street where we had thrown the one hatchet at. This is all precious time that's getting taken, just wasting, burying themselves in the corner, even though you're not, able to hold the chase for too long. But sometimes it's kind of hard to when you got a killer behind you, hurling those hatchets your way. Now, my question that I can't help but wonder is, do we see a reset onto our Zarina first before the save? Actually, not going to be the case. The save's coming in behind us, but we see this gen's around 60, 65%. So already getting pretty close to completion.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing Dixie reloading here at main. I suspect there might be a survivor. I did see a crow fly up here. We do have our Zarina here. Sorry, our Ace here working on this generator here. Our only healthy survivor. Correction. Zarina has just been healed up across the ways here as Ace is going to be taking this chase as far away as possible from that active generator. A nice drop of the firecracker here to waste a bit more time. There is no pallet here at this tile here. Can't go for that window because of the hatchet here. Poor Pox is going to go down here and give another fresh hook to Dixie. He's going to be able to hook right next to that active generator from before, not being able to get far enough away to prevent a force into second stage. Plus the regression of this very close gen.
Plus, that's also another fresh hook here as well. And that's going to be important because if you happen to allow any stages out the doors, you would at least like to get those precious first stages as they do get you the most points. Not only that, though, but we will see as... Oh, I thought we were going to be able to get that hit before heading in there. So at this point, going to actually be taking and continuing the chase with our Meg. Meg does work towards the backside of the Saloon. We have to remember that hook back here was already used for the sacrifice, meaning that we'll take a little bit of time to rotate the Meg either towards the front or over towards the gallows itself. There is going to be generator number 5 plus the adrenaline value here on the Meg as well, which gets Megan up off of the ground. Now, right now, the survivor that you would really like to find is going to be the Zarina, because at least the Zarina would be an easy elimination.
Yeah, Zarina is also a fresh survivor as well. So getting the down and the kill onto Zarina would award 6 points total for those 3 stages there. We see No Way Out Frankie on this exit gate at this back area of the map here. Now, it would be... Okay, we have our Meg, the survivor being caught here, who I believe is currently on her death hook here, if I'm not mistaken, as Ace has been hooked himself. Anator gonna go down at this pallet here, not quite being able to bind game it. Dixie's gonna be able to get this hook and be able to go for another chase, potentially even spotting out our Zarina if Dixie can find them. No Way Out still has a quarter of its time left, full of hatchets, ready to go on a hunting spree here.
Yeah, so at this point, we're talking about 4 seconds left on the No Way Out. Now our survivors are going to be able to start attacking the doors, but we do see that our killer does have rather friendly-ish doors. You can kind of keep a good eye from one to the other if we were just be able to, go back and forth on the side of the Saloon. I think, though, we are going to be seeing Dixie trying to locate where the reset came in, because we got to keep in mind the Ace will take 2 hits regardless to be on the ground because there's no Noed. The Zarina would take 2 hatchets or just a simple M1 here. And we see walking around, no lights as of yet anyways. And this, I believe we will probably be seeing our survivors trying to do more of a slow approach here, maybe even trying to go for like a 20%. And then once the Huntress leaves, then at that point, go ahead and full send the rest of the way. But I feel like here you kind of want to split between your 2 doors so at least one gets out, right?
Yeah, you would want to have your survivors split up, one on each door, as and try and make it a little more obvious that you've got your Ace working on one of the doors, because that way you'll have your Rancor survivor being the one to actually get a gate open and get the escape while being fresh as well. So I think that's exactly what we're going to see happen here, as Dixie's just going to have to go for whatever scratch marks they can find, not knowing whether it's going to be the Ace or the Zarina. Oh. We have the Zarina getting caught over by this door, by the main building here. Poor Canalave doesn't have the Canalave pallet to use. It's already been dropped. He is now stuck at this part of the map, as Ponx is going to be able to get the escape, and this is most likely going to end in a Rancor Mori. The Bloodlust is going to come into play. Canalave is going to have nowhere to go, and that's going to be it, unless we potentially see some sort of play with the hatch being at the main building. If Dixie messes up, Canalave's going to make it to this pallet here.
No way!
See it? There it is! The hatch escape at the main building. This is why you got to be bringing your offering to spawn your hatch at the main building as opposed to Shack. Oh my goodness, the fresh hatch escape coming through from Team Owned.
What did we just watch? It looked like Dixie had done a great job of being able to zone our Rancorable survivor away from the door, and instead works around the pallet that was downed. And just when you thought that maybe we were going to be seeing another mind game around a pallet, our survivor hears the hatch and gets the escape. That's huge.
That is so amazing to see. Now, after the point deduction that we unfortunately saw from Team Owners, that's going to lift the final score from this game here at 15 points to Endless and 10 points to Own. So what would have been a tied game has now been put down by 5 points, which is still a manageable comeback for Owned, but also a good power position for Endless to be in going into this set here.
That's wow. I still can't believe what I just saw, Spoker.
Yeah, I can't believe it either. And I've been an absolute advocate for Hatchet main for quite a long time, and it's good to finally have some proof of it. So we're going to get into the next game of Owned on the killer side now on Huntress right after this quick intermission while we all cool down a bit.
All right, let's take another trip on back into the fog after a very exciting end to trial number 1. Starting trial number 2 here, going to be seeing Owns Killer out here. What would be a 15-15 score, unfortunately, right now down by 5 is Owned after seeing the point penalty heading into the very first trial of our matchup here. Now going to be going back towards the water tower itself. This is the uncorrupt portion of our map, seeing if we can find ourselves a survivor back here. It sounds like we've got some progress on that gen, so we know that we have somebody back here. It is the Nia that is the culprit, able to dodge the second hatchet here, working with, of course, the pallet, the very notorious one here at the actual water tower itself. Unfortunately, not finding any connection with the hatchet here. There's going to be a blind from a second teammate, which may allow our Nia to at least get some safety here.
Yeah, now that should be a good amount of a time waste here, being able to get that fast fall at this very unsafe window against a Huntress, might I add. Very nice plays here by Broken, who's unfortunately going to vault back into a killer's face here, but still a very good chase to start off the trial here with what limited resources I would say have been used here, with only that water tower pallet I believe we saw getting dropped. So that is something that's something good to, you know, get yourself started up in this game here, trying to go for some funny shots at the main building here, not quite landing those. Reloading into the shack here. Now we have a lot of gen progress on this gen here at the gallows here, and we're going to be seeing it pop in the killer's face here as Dixie here, I believe, is going to be taking this next chase, and we see a hatchet onto Bulba here as well. Some nice injuries here, putting a lot of pressure onto our survivors here.
Yeah, and this Huntress right now is absolutely on fire. 3 for 3 of the last hatchets right now, all finding connection here. Now going to be some value, though, as far as from this agitation. Should allow for our survivor to be able to make it, or our killer here, to put our survivor over here in the basement itself. Going to be seeing the hatchets restocked while in the basement. We have 3 injured survivors across the board here. So right now our survivors from Team Endless need to make sure that they're being very, very careful. However, there's generator number 2 popping. Sounds like the other generator up on the gallows, or not the gallows, on the saloon itself, getting pretty close to completion here as well. Trying to see if we can find a survivor playing super immersed here across from the saloon, actually in these broken buildings. I believe that is the Zarina here that we have been able to see. There is a pallet here. It's not a very safe pallet. That is going to be a down, but it should be enough time to allow the Fang to get safely out of the basement as we see generator number 3 getting complete.
Now we've seen both of the more or less safer generators for the survivors getting pumped here, with only 2 generators remaining in the trial. We see Deadlock is coming into play from Killer here, of Team Owned. So we also have a reset getting interrupted here. All of our survivors are injured at this point of the trial, and it's a difficult spot for Endless. The gen pressure is fairly reasonably good, but the injured health states, it's what's going to be detrimental to their progress if they want to snowball and get a victory from this trial here. But we do see the rescue coming out across the ways as Bulba is getting hunted down here. A nice dodge there from our Fang here, who's only got this 1 pallet here to use. Some nice greed of the pallet there. Should be able to make it back around. Not quite. Gonna go down without using the pallet here, and gonna go up on the hook. I believe this is gonna be second hook state onto Bulba, but this could be the final fresh hook for our survivors. It is gonna be a second hook with currently, I believe, 4 stages right now and 2 generators remaining.
Yeah, right now, if Canalev wants to find the last fresh up, the person that we would like to find is the only injured survivor, which is going to be the Dixie. We have seen both Mathis and Broken both getting reset. Not sure if maybe they are together, and we're going to be seeing one of them moving in for the save here shortly. But as we look around, we do notice that our survivors from Endless have done a pretty good job as far as our gen spread. I mean, you've got a light 3 gen you could consider, since you do have a ranged killer here between, the gen that's right next to us, the other gen back behind Gallows, and the water tower. But there's still quite a bit of ground between the two to be covered. And we haven't seen the Meg heal yet, which leads me to believe that the Meg is working solo on a gen somewhere. So if the other two are paired up, we might be seeing them try and do the gens before friends strategy here.
No, I think we see that was a loud noise notification, not on a generator. It didn't look to be, so it might have been a missed skill check while healing or going in and out of a locker, potentially. Not too sure what's happened here, but it's given away a little bit of info to our killer here. Potentially, was that a pallet drop, actually? I don't remember seeing this pallet getting dropped earlier, and it is a fairly unsafe pallet as well, so it would make sense why to pre-drop that, but while not even in chase? I don't know about that one, Q.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe it was just a situation where they were dropping it in case they were going to work on that gen and had to be set up for a lithe to get away. But this is Dixie here. And as we had mentioned before, Dixie is our last fresh hook survivor. So this is going to be a good person to find before moving into the end portion of our trial here. We see the firecracker not able to make a connection. We can hear this generator on the backside has a whole lot of progress there as we continue our chase. Actually doing a good job with our tracking on the Meg. Nice hatchet here to be able to get the connection here. And this is also going to be a hook now in the corner, which will require a survivor to have to kind of pull away from the remaining 4 generators that they're going to try to be attacking, which might take a little bit of additional time, but you can hear this generator just about ready to go.
Now the survivors do have to play around deadlock. I was more thinking that we were going to be seeing the survivors trying to avoid popping those last 2 generators while Rancor is being in play, especially with Dixie, the obsession being currently downed with so many gens being so close to being completed. The last gen that is expected to pop is the gen that just got kicked before by Cano, which is easily at well over 75% progress here. We might be seeing survivors working on other gens away from the hook as the final gen pops here. We have Dixie still on the hook. The cactus eats the hatchet there as our Zarina here is going to be taking the chase in the main building. No Way Out has pronked on the door and down at the window of main, and we know where all of our survivors are right now. This could result in a 4K if Canna can play this right with an injured and a healthy survivor right now. Most likely gonna have to wait out a borrowed time, but with 4 stacks of No Way Out, this is a very cozy spot for Canna right now.
Yeah, Canna's got to be feeling really good, especially because one of the survivors over here is indeed the Megan, who is Moriable with the Rancor. We had 4 stacks of the No Way Out, thanks to getting all 4 fresh hooks across the board. So when the No Way Out proc, there was 60 seconds until our survivors were able to start attacking the doors. 45 of those seconds have since expired here. Now going to be seeing the pickup onto our Zarina. I like this play. Guarantee yourself another hook state. This also means someone will have to rotate in if they don't want to leave anybody behind. You're also right next to a door. And actually, even if you look at it, very friendly doors here for our killer for the remainder of this trial.
Yeah, we definitely do have much healthier doors to what we saw last trial. Canna's going to be able to reload, pressure the hook, keep an eye on the doors as much as he pleases. Almost a close shot onto... Oh, a nice long-range shot onto Broken. They're trying to get that door open. Oh, a nice shot onto Dixie. Not even expecting it coming across the ways here. Canna's going to go and slug for this 4K here. No hatchets, but a dream. Broken still running around with enough time to make a good amount of distance, but Canna is going to have to 110 walk this over to the edge map as we do see Broken here at the edge of the map at this Z-wall. This is the last hope for Endless here, and Broken is going to go down here, but are we going to see any kind of unbreakable play from Dixie, which honestly, I don't think we will, Cube, because we did see Dixie being very aggressive with the lockers, potentially trying to force a decisive strike at that point of the trial. So this could be huge for Canna.
Yeah, this is going to be big. I would have imagined that we would have seen it as pretty well as the down came into play if that were the case, and now instead going to be just simply locating our slugs here. Not sure as far as where the offering was for our hatch. I'm not sure if maybe we had our slug be able to crawl over there, but at this point, it's just going to be about, even if you like have the bleed out here, you've already secured up enough slugs, kind of just doing what you needed to do, and that was come out and make sure that you follow up a very impressive performance by your survivors, and came out and was able to steal, set number 1.
Yeah, no, it's really crazy to see that Owned is going to be able to make this comeback and take the first set point against Endless. We see the hatch spawning in the exact same spot as last game with, I believe we must have seen another main building hatch offering. Now, we're going to hope that we do find Dixie slugged here. Otherwise, we're all going to be here for a good cozy time here. No unbreakable at this point of the trial, I don't think, as well as no use of Soul Guard. And there is our slug, who is also our obsession. So we're going to be seeing Dixie getting Rancor Moored here.
Couldn't even pull her away from the wall so we can get a better view. Come on. No, but it's okay, though. That's going to be a 4K. And talk about coming out here, being able to take home set point number 1 here by a total score of 34-25. And that is even after the 5-point penalty from trial number 1. So a very good job by Team Owned here. And now we'll be moving in to their pick, being the nurse on Father Campbell's Chapel. Should be super exciting. Can't wait to get into set number 2. And we'll be bringing that to y'all after a very quick break.
All right, welcome back, everyone. After an adrenaline-packed trial, with the Huntress on Dead Dog, we are now gonna be seeing the scariest of killers, the spooky, scary nurse on the Father Campbell's Chapel. And I believe that's just a little spectator bug we're seeing at the moment, with a little bit of incorrect textures being displayed, but it's okay. We see a nice cracker coming into play, and wow, what a down onto Broken there. That was really, really clean there. Not so much internet-wise, I'll tell you what, but that was a really nice down very early on into the trial in the corrupt area of the map. But still, at this point, if you get it down that quickly, you just gotta roll with it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. You're going to take a 60-second down and hook every day of the week. So you love to see that very early here on Father Campbell's Chapel. And, I've been getting to see more of the nurse since she's been introduced back after she was unfortunately taken away from us there for like 3 or 4 weeks. And it's been very, very interesting and entertaining to watch these killers at the very high level, with no more blink bugs and none of the other like small things that were kind of affecting the nurse for quite some time. Seeing her being played so smooth, it's been very fun to watch, honestly.
Now, unfortunately, we do tend to get a lot of spectator bugs when spectating nurse games, and the audio that you're hearing right now is obviously no exception as well. It's a simple case of fix one thing, break another, and unfortunately the actual gameplay and the way that Nurse is played is a lot more important than the aesthetics to it, which I'm sure everyone will agree with. But we are going to be seeing the second stage getting applied onto Broken here, as that's going to be the first 2 stages of the trial, with 1 gen popping so far, but we should be seeing a good amount of progress on a lot of gens in the distance here. We do see there's still a Hex Totem in the trial here, and we had one being cleansed early in the trial as well. So if I had to suspect, we will be seeing Ruin Undying coming into play on our nurse here, doing what we can to pressure our survivors off of generators around where the hook is. And let's have a quick look, at the survivors, at what they're up to, as this could also help fix the spectator bug as well with the audio. Have a look at that gen progress as we see...
Oh? I thought we had seen somebody moving in. I don't know if that's the case, though. I think that's why we had stuck on board here for a second. But it looks like we might actually have our team prioritizing gens over friends. And this is tough, right? Because you're about to have a sacrifice, and I was gonna say all we have is one gen. Even still with 2 gens against a nurse, I don't think that's worth here. I mean, you were able to at least break up the 1-3 gen that sometimes happens to offer up over here, but when you include this middle gen with these couple over here, this 3 gen is still intact here. I mean, we can see our survivors trying to set up. There's going to be generator number 3 getting complete, as we do also have the sacrifice here. And it does look like the tripper around checking in on our survivors does indeed get rid of the, I think that was the veil we were seeing with the textures that was kind of showing up on that top right-hand corner. We do find the survivor, at least one of our survivors here, though. I think that's going to be the Megan. Not going to be able to avoid the M1, but now you can see our survivors have done a good job pounding out these generators. 4 of them already done, and only 3 hook states to show so far. Nice.
Ooh, a beautiful dead hard there from Dixie there. Going to be able to make it over towards the shack. Now, we did see kinship, or previously known as camaraderie, coming into play on Broken. So they had a lot extra hang time. I think a good 30 seconds or so on that hook before actually dying. I forgot to mention it earlier, but that did make the elimination take a bit longer and give the survivors more time to pop those gens across the way, which would be the only reason, really. We saw all those gens popping, and we see our survivors committing to this last gen here. We're going to get the no-head down onto Mathis here, who is healthy, and we get the insta down onto Bulba as well, who had adrenaline, and that's going to be a 4K again from Owned.
Now, I do... The good news is you've got all of the generators done, so it does set a very firm, like, win condition for your killer here if you can get the 4K at least before the generators get complete. But I don't know, man. I feel like we may have overcommitted between one, just allowing the first elimination off essentially the first hook, and then overcommitting on that gen there. You can probably should have expected no-ed, I feel like. So having the last 2 survivors in the trial right there against a nurse who can close the distance. I mean, I guess it's easy on this side of the desk to make that call. We're going to have to see how it plays out, obviously, through the next killer trial.
Now, you want to know what makes it even more unfortunate as well?
What's that?
We did not see our survivors going for an unhook at any point in the trial, so Deliverance won't be able to come into play, which is very, very unfortunate, having Broken going from first hook to death, having Dixie getting caught, and then Mathis and Bulba both going down, getting that last gen done. That was absolutely insane. I completely understand where our survivors were coming from to get that generator done, but everything just came together for Val at the end there, and that's going to put the final scores of this first game at a total of 23 points, I believe. For the 4K, it should be 24 points to Owned and 10 points to Endless, but I'm looking at the scores, and there we go. It's just been fixed up now. We have 24 to Owned and 10 to Endless, so the win condition has been kind of set in stone here. So let's see how our survivors of Owned can maintain this lead right after a quick break.
All right, let's take another trip on back into the fog, back on the Father Campbell's Chapel. This time, going to be seeing Endless out on the killer side, and that does mean that Owned simply needs to get somebody out the door. We saw them get the 4K at all 5 gens complete on the killer side. I know I make that sound so much easier than it actually is. Just get somebody out the door. But it's a pretty clear win condition, at least.
Now, mind you, if we get a survivor out the hatch as well, that would also grant the win condition for Owned here as well.
All right.
We have seen some impressive hatch escapes in our times here in DB. Ended by OCE. Beautiful pallets done there by Canna, who's also made some quick light work of the flashlight as well, but is unfortunately gonna go down here. But a very impressive first chase, both by our survivor and by the killer as well, who should be able to hook in a nice, more or less central position to where our corrupt gens are and where our hex totem is.
Yeah, and the other thing too is over here, because we have like the split corrupt, but over on this side of the map, you generally have a pretty nice 3-gen as we had seen in the circus side of our map here. Plus, it doesn't look like there's really much progress on this middle gen. So, especially when we figure that we're playing as there's a decent amount of progress, I guess. It is regressing though from the ruin at 200%. Plus, you can use this window to kind of oversee your generator here as well. I'm not sure if we happen to spot ourselves. A survivor does come down off of our perch. And I think at this point, it's just a free chance to camp into second stage, honestly.
Yeah, I would have to agree as well, but there we go, picking up the chase onto the ace here. Pox is going to be going for a potential 1-for-1 maybe? Was that a firecracker drop as well that we saw? An iframes hit onto Canalave on the hook here. This might be a 1-for-1 for the deliverance of some sort. That would be the kind of play I would expect to see from gameplay like this, but we're going to be seeing that. Oh, and beautiful
Nice
dead hard onto from our Zarina here. Sorry, they've got the beamer, they've got the dead hard, they are strapped and are ready to go. A second gen has popped across the ways as well.
Yeah, the Beamer, the Dead Hard. We know that our Zarina do be gaming out here, and now going to be trying to look for our survivor who had came in for the 1-for-1 save. You had mentioned possibly a potential deliverance play. I think that's what I would anticipate here as well. And the longer it takes to find the slug, there it is right there. That's more time for our Lori, more time for our Kate to just hold M1 on those gens, maybe even also allow Zarina to rotate to one of them for a very quick reset here as well. But this is going to be at least another fresh hook. And now I think feeling a little bit more, the pressure isn't going to be so much confirming stages. Now going to try and see if you can get a little bit of ruin value pushing back for the gen. We do see the unhook coming in very quickly. No borrowed time, which would lead me to believe maybe a D strike even. So a really easy decision to not go for the immediate pickup. Instead, getting the Kate down as well. Now if you can get the back-to-back, now you don't even have to go for the second hook right away. If you can get Kate down plus have a slug, that's so much pressure right now.
Especially while still, especially while still having Ruin in play as well. But are we going to be seeing Dixie waiting out the DS here? He's going to go straight for the pickup and... Oh, we were all waiting for it, weren't we? I'm always going to give you that opportunity. You know that, Q.
But look at these hooks. You've got hooks. They're facing one another over on the side of your map with your 3-gen, with your ruin here. Dixie in a really good spot here at this point in time. Remember, Dixie, if you get the 4K, before all 5 gens are complete, this is your game. But a thing to keep in mind, these are 2 hooks in your 3. Oh, I was gonna say that could be potentially getting taken out of the way. That is going to be a hit onto the survivor that was coming off the hook. That's not going to be a borrowed time hit either. Now going to be seeing the M1 simply onto the Zarina. You can probably anticipate we're going to be seeing an unhook coming in on to our other survivor here in just a second. But I don't think that our Adam wants to take that risk. That's going to be a second stage for us here. Right now, again, the nurse just maintaining so much pressure.
We do see the rescue still happening across the way. So as Ace gets smacked down once again, really unfortunate that they couldn't make it in time for that unhook. I'm not sure if the survivors are aware of the Ruin Totem being inside that 3-gen in that circus area of the map. I think their priority here would be getting those resets and getting out of this 3-gen to heal in a safe spot here. And yeah, we see the Kate getting healed up, signifying that there's a good chance that they're still in this close area of the circus here, as it was quite a quick heal.
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting to see. Because, I mean, you would understand them trying to stay back here anyways, right? Like, you would want to start approaching or start attacking the 3-gen back here since you haven't really had any time to do anything back here other than, hanging out on a hook or on the ground. And right now, though, doing a good job playing immersed, not being found, at least at this point in time. We do also see the reset here, but it is a 3v1. And there's 4 gens left on the map, which means 2 of them need to be complete. So right now, our survivors got to put together a game plan, and they need to make sure that they stick to it.
Yeah, their positioning needs to be absolutely on point here if they want to be able to get an out this game here. Having an elimination early on in the trial here with these last two gens remaining. It shouldn't be too difficult to pop this gen in the distance here, which we see the survivors getting pressured off and Ruin coming into play. Dixie has a very cozy 4-gen around this side of the map here. Is going to be able to go back and forth freely and get that Ruin regression in play. So the survivors really need to be able to find where this Ruin totem is. Their communication and their coordination really needs to be on point if they want to win this trial, because realistically, if that Ruin totem doesn't go, I don't think the survivors are going to be able to meet this win condition. And there it is.
That's going to be the Ruin getting cleansed here. This is tough because now you're talking about we've got another very quick reset coming in. Our survivors here now are going to have time to be able to split pressure here and be able to attack these gens. If they get pushed off, you don't have to worry about regression. You're going to force kicks, which is going to take initial time out of chase. Of course, it is a nurse, can get back into those chases relatively quick, especially compared to a lot of other killers here. But the nurse now going to see if you can get lucky, maybe find a survivor in a locker here, but we know that they were attacking this gen off in the distance here in front of us that we had seen them get removed off of earlier before the Ruin. I'm not sure how much actual pressure on the objective itself, like how much percentage work was done over here. Yeah, you can actually hear not too much. So they don't have much started yet, but at least you don't have regression on your side.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a step in the right direction for the survivors here as everyone's healthy and reset again. The Ruin has been eliminated. The 3-gen is still in play, but something I want to quickly make note of is we have been seeing some very quick resets. I'm curious as to whether we're seeing an inner healing coming into play potentially, as that's what's prompting Dixie to be checking all of these lockers around here. But we do see some scratch marks around near the main building and where this generator was being repaired here. With a little bit more progress we're hearing, I think we have 2 survivors in this area, Laurie being one of them here. Val is going to be taking this chase here over to the 4 lane here. Let's see how long they can last here. They need to waste as much time as possible to get as much gen progress, otherwise it'll be difficult for Owned to get the victory here, as if Owned wins this game here, they win the entire set here and will move on into the winners semifinals. Now, a tough task, but it is possible for Endless to force it into a tiebreaker as well if Dixie can pull off this 4K.
Yeah, and especially if you can get the 4K before the last gen is complete here would be your condition. And I think we're on a pretty good pace to get to that point. We saw the pop goes the weasel onto the generator after the kick behind us, regress that back quite a bit. We do see though that this generator here already has the 4th piston with quite a bit of motion to it. Now the question is this the survivor that rotated over for the save? I would anticipate not, with as much progress as on it. So the question now is our killer going to be able to find the survivor? Not in this closet though. Man, this is tough. You know that the nurse here feels the pressure and understands how much progress is on that gen. And anticipates the survivor. There it is. It's going to be the Kate actually getting found with the M1. You would really like to build some distance here, because the last thing you would like to do is have a hook right next to that generator that has all that progress. Although I don't know if the Kate would know at this point in time as far as about the pop goes the weasel the same way that we know about it. I'm not sure if that's been discovered by the other teammates, since we did see a very quick reset come in after the unhook. But wait a minute.
What have we got going on here, Q?
I thought we were maybe going to be seeing a breakout play, but I don't think there was enough distance there. And that's tough because that is an elimination. Now this is a 2v1. Everything changes.
Yeah, a 2v1 with 2 gens still needing to be done. And pop goes the weasel, I believe, has been revealed to the survivors by this point. 2 generators being so close to being done though, and this one losing 25% progress is detrimental, and I think is what might cost Owned the game here, as they do have those 2 gens. Almost 3 gens even being nearly completed, but with them being in such close proximity to each other, it's going to be almost impossible to get done.
Yeah, this is, I mean, once it goes down to the 2v1, I don't want to say that like this is that like that sealed the deal, but It essentially did, right? It's going to take so much work here, and especially when you take into consideration the fact that the next down, Dixie gets another 25% regression onto at least one of these gens. So it's just unfortunate. This is the good news though, is for owned, you did, take set point number 1. So even though you dropped this set point, you are at least going to get to fight through one more set, which is going to be the Blight set on Gas Heaven.
Now, we need to keep in mind as well that even if we lose our third survivor, a hatch escape is always still a possibility. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing it spawning at the main building as well. So if the survivors of Owned reach a point where they know they're not going to be able to get the gens done, I don't think... Well, with the 2 gens not being completed, though, I think they'd have to pop at least one more gen and get an escape with the minimal amount of hook states possible. There is still a chance that the survivor who's been hooked the least amount of times gets a hatch escape. They don't have to worry about doing the gens as much as they currently need to and get it out through the door.
Yeah, I was trying to do the math. I think if you get at least one of these gens done, since you'd have 2 stages being lost plus the escape, I think that might still swing things in your favor, like you were talking about. You do need at least one of the gens, which then means how quick does the first hook come in, right? Because if you get a hook here on the 1 survivor, like the Lori, that was honestly very impressive. And actually not even going for the hook, going to go ahead and go for the slug here. I think this is part of understanding the pressure. I mean, you can hear this generator has a whole bunch of progress on it. We got to talk about a 4th piston starting to move on that thing. We know that the generator in the back of the circus over here had a lot of progress on it prior to the pop kick. Not sure what it's sitting at right now. It does sound like there's a lot of progress though on this thing. So now the question is, where is the Zarina? Because this thing just about ready to go. I wouldn't even at this point risk going back for my slug because you don't want to lose this gen.
Now it would be really interesting to see if Unbreakable comes into play from Val here. That would be pretty impressive for Owned to have their Unbreakable player being the one on the ground here, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to need to see a generator pop from Owned here, I think, is their only saving grace here. But Dixie is definitely going to be really happy with himself right now to have 2 eliminations at this point of the trial and having the survivors in such an awkward position that could result in the win condition being met for Endless here, which would honestly be really impressive to see.
Yeah, and I think, when we talk about like best of 3 series, when you go into the overtime set, the 3rd set, I feel like if you're the one who just won the set point, you feel like momentum is on your side a little bit. So I think for Endless to, come out here, and especially even though you're fighting very hard through this 4th trial, to still secure the overtime play, it make you feel really good. And plus also, you're going in and you can at least set the pace on the killer side, which I would imagine after forcing an overtime on the killer side would have you feeling like you can, you could do that pretty well, And now at this point here, I think this is tough because Dixie needs to, you would want to obviously really find Kenna, but the longer this takes, it makes me almost wonder if maybe Kenna can slide in on one of these gens and get that done, which is even still like helps more towards that win condition here.
And another thing that's probably got Dixie a bit on edge right now as well is that what if a bleed out happens? If we lose our stages to a bleed out happening on Val here with the clock ticking as well, the pressure is just mounting faster and faster. Not getting those kill points is almost as good as having a survivor escape, which is not what Dixie wants right now.
Yeah, and now, man, this is tough. I feel like at this point, if you can get back across the map and get your slug, I feel like you kind of want to do that at this point. Yeah, they can miss 2 skill checks right away, so it opens up the potential of a hatch play. But I feel like if you get the hook, it makes it so there isn't enough time for a gen, which I think would still be in that point of a dub for Dixie here, right?
It's honestly really hard to say. I'm
It's so
trying to do all
close.
the math in my head right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the score's currently being at 28 to Endless and 30 to Own from where we're at right now. So it's only a 2-point difference to Own's favor here. If Val were to bleed out right here, right now, and Canna either gets the hatch escape or dies on the hook here, it would need to be a 2-point difference here. Canna is only been hooked once, if I'm not mistaken. Canna has only been hooked once, so if Canna were to get hooked after the bleed out happened, that would still give the win to Endless by a single point.
Oh, and now there's the bleed out here. Now the question is, where is our survivor here? Are they going to be able to race the hatch? Because this hatch race is going to be huge. We just lost 2 stages on the floor here. If we lose our other 2 stages to a hatch, oh, that would be so incredibly heartbreaking. Here's going to be the first blink over here. No one at this, but does that mean we still maybe have a potential for a wake up on a door?
I feel like because it is the survivor's responsibility to bring the offering for where hatch spawns, everyone will be well aware of where the hatch spawns, but the survivors, sorry, more so, as they'll be going into the trial knowing where that hatch is going to be spawning roughly, and putting it at shack, sorry, and not even going for it, knowing that it's going to be there in fear of getting caught, even while you're healthy, before the no-ed comes into play, which we currently see with the haste icon, these doors being very, very friendly for Dixie here. You will need to have some sort of wake-up build in order to get this escape here. I think this is going to be the win for Endless in this set, as I don't think Canna's going to be able to get a door open.
Yeah, and that's going to be tough because if Canna gets sacrificed to the entity, that just counts the same as an elimination, right?
Yeah, that's right. All the hook stage points will be awarded to the killer here, which means 2 points for the second stage and 1 point for the kill. 6 total for killing a survivor, which those 3 points is enough to bridge the gap of the 2-point difference that we currently have.
That's tough here. And I mean, fighting down it. Now, again, the good news here for you, for Team Owned, you did take set point number 1. So even by dropping this set by a heartbreaking 1 point here, you still have the Blight set. And I mean, on the survivor side of things, you did fight really hard to... No way.
No! Oh my god, that flashlight, if he held it for a tad longer to force into the fatigue, I think that would have been enough to maybe just scrape out the door, but he's done it. Dixie managed to pull it back.
I can just imagine punching the air right now. Unfortunately frustrated. So close to, you see 3 lights on the door panel there. And that is going to be, as you had mentioned, a 1-point set win here for Endless. So now tied up. 1 set to Endless, 1 set to Owned. Now going to be going back to Gas Heaven in order for us to see the Blight. We're going to go ahead and get that set up for you guys and be bringing that tiebreaker set after a very quick break.
All right. Sorry for the little break we had, but we are back on the Gas Heaven for the tiebreaker. It all comes down to this. We have Endless on the killer side first. We have Broken playing the Blight for Endless here. Gonna get this pallet break here very early on, getting that quick early chase in the mid-map here. Turning this place into a dead zone as soon as you can is gonna be really, really important.
Yeah, and it's especially because you're taking chase, moving it back towards the main building, which is uncorrupt too. So you can kind of not actively push people off of gens because obviously you're still working on this chase, but you get to kind of passively do a nice mind game here at the pallet to be able to get it down. Wouldn't be surprised to see our killer maybe potentially open up one of these doors first. No, that's fine. He's doing. I mean, this one's already open. See, I do that. We're gonna go ahead and get this very first hook though. This is 60 seconds into the trial, and you're right next to these uncorrupt gens where you can start putting pressure. This is a really good start.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that ruin coming into play to push the survivors off of the active gens is going to be really, really tough for the survivors to recover from. A nice pallet drop here from our survivor, but As I just said, the ruin is going to be very painful to deal with. You got to locate that hex totem and get it out as quickly as possible. We catch some scratchies over near where the hook is, stopping an unhook from happening. At a very crucial time as well. Very lucky for Broken here, which will be really good for Endless, keeping up the pressure for this tiebreaker set.
Yeah, and I mean, now at this point, you at least get the free camp into the second stage here, right? I mean, it's kind of the reward that you get as a killer, no matter who you are, but especially when you're on a killer that has a lot of mobility, then you get a very early down. And we are going to see, you can still keep an eye on this gen, the one over to our left of us. So you kind of keep a little bit of a middle bit, or the middle bit of your gens kind of together here. But unfortunately, you heard that sound notification. That's ruin getting cleansed here at this point, so that does help our survivors quite a bit.
That was a really nice juke at the tree there, baiting our killer into swinging on the right side there, giving him the slight left. So our survivor's still stuck on the hook here, not quite getting rescued as of just yet. Now, I'm having a look at my pixels very closely, and I'm trying to see if we have a kinship coming into play, but I don't think that's the case. We have our survivors coming in for a double save. Sorry, we have Canna and Val both coming in, taking the hits there, getting the rescue happening, and we're going to be seeing the BT onto our ace here as well. The tunnel out process is going to be completed here, I reckon, at 4 gens remaining as well.
Yeah, this is tough, right? I mean, you took the time. I really feel like, even though, yeah, it was only 60 seconds into the trial when the first down came out, I feel like you really wanted at least a second, if not a third gen, understanding why it would have been hard to get the third with where the hook was. But I feel like you would have preferred to at least get a second gen before needing 2 survivors rotating in. We do see, though, the down at this point. Understandable. Going to go ahead and leave the slug at this point in time. You want the elimination here. That makes things so much easier once you get down to the 3v1. Working to our TNL here around the broken truck. We do see this blood pools here, not going to be able to find a connection here. Is Broken, and now with a healthy Meg coming in, this is going to be extending this chase. This should allow our Lori to rotate over, pick up our survivor that is on the ground as we move towards the main building. The main building, a pretty strong tile, but we can see Broken very easily getting into the tile itself, trying to get the I thought we were going to get the hit there.
That would have been really nice if we did manage to get that hit. No panic falters today. Really nicely played it. A very unsafe pallet at the main building here, I have to say. I don't know how Pox is doing this right now, but does eventually, unfortunately, go down. You should not have survived that long at a pallet like this, so hats off to you, Pox. That was incredible there.
Yeah, I mean, doing a good job of really doing a lot with a little, right? Especially against a killer like a Blight who can close distance so quick. That is the elimination here. I can't help but wonder how close we are to seeing generator number 3, if not 3 and 4. Especially knowing that we had to go pick up a survivor. We haven't been able to see a reset to either of those injured survivors. We also hear this generator right here. That thing's knocking like a 4. Wait, that pun probably doesn't work on OCE servers, right? Knocking like a 4 in the middle of winter. Does that land the same? I don't know.
Look, I'll tell you what, with the way the weather works in Australia, we have all 4 seasons in a single day, so it all depends on what time you make the joke, Q.
We do see, though, able to find the hook pretty quickly here as far as our second fresh hook here. Seeing the deliverance value, but still in the middle of our lethal rushes, was able to come back, put pressure on this survivor right away. We see them jump into the locker. I mean, we all have to know what's coming, right? So laps them with the D, says drop it. Going to buy a little bit more time, and this is big because you did allow your other survivors to just simply hit the skill checks on the gens and do the easy work.
Wow, and these Dukes in chase here, making it over to this tile here, or sorry, this pallet gym, is going to be able to get a reset and a gen pop in the distance here. This time waste is going to be enough for our survivors here of Own to potentially maybe even get this last generator done, as this pallet is broken in a very unfortunate spot. We do have a healthy survivor here to take a hit. It is Anator, going to be extending this chase even longer for Canna, who doesn't have a DS available anymore. Already been used. You know you got to let Q take those ones. But Canna is going to go down here, though, after an amazing chase around this end section of the game here, with Val being our gen jockey, I can only imagine, for right now.
Yeah, and I gotta say, very impressive, even with the early down, and even honestly the very early elimination. And we had thought that there was kind of a lax in the pressure on the gens from our survivors here, but we can see right now that our survivors from Owned really fighting, trying to move this thing into the end game. Looks like we did we actually get that hit there?
I think that was our Meg already injured when they went for this rescue? I think
She was, yeah.
Yeah, so we had a iframe hit onto the hook before getting that hit. Imagine, though, if Broken had managed to get that down before the unhook had happened, leaving only one survivor up. That would have been insane.
Yeah, now we're going to see it after the very quick hook, finding some scratch marks here in front of the gas station here itself. We see those scratch marks heading towards the middle of the map. Understandable for why we don't want to really push over there. We've got a hook right in the middle of our 3-gen. While we're over here, though, even though there isn't too much pressure, go ahead and give this generator a quick tap, 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 Rug. 25% instant regression here. From the pop goes the weasel, which pretty much knocks that thing back to 0. We also know that generator over on this side of the car wall has pretty well regressed all the way back to 0 as well. This is honestly a really good job of fighting back here by Broken. Oh,
that's going to be a very unfortunate 1-for-1 here. Are we going to see a beamer save? Maybe. I think we saw Canalave being our survivor with the flashlight, so that's going to be the second elimination here, with our Meg still being injured currently. I believe we have Laurie being the one working on this main building generator here, but not quite being able to catch them off guard, as they do have some great utility to use here around the main building. The pressure is starting to really mount up for Owned, though, as this is starting to look like a potential 4K for Endless here, going into their killer game for the tiebreaker set, and having to fight against a 4K result is obviously very difficult and stressful, but we do see the hit onto Val here.
Yeah, this is going to be, nice hit. You're able to at least get the health state change. Interesting to see no committal to the chase. Understandable. You want to see if maybe you can get the 4K here before the 5th gen pops. That makes a very clear win condition for your survivors when you come out in this next trial. But I feel like with what the progress was on the 3 gens when we started that chase, I feel like we probably could have invested at least another 15-20 seconds before deciding to break chase if you couldn't. I understand there's a lot of resources over there on that side of the map. We haven't really taken much chase over there. You can anticipate there's quite a few pallets and whatnot. But you do see, though, finding the Megan, unfortunately crouched around the corner. This is going to be big. This is another hook. This is going to be a hook that's over here back pretty well on the backside of your 3 gen setup, and I don't know if we're going to be seeing a 5th gen getting complete.
I don't really think so either. We all saw the progression of the main building as chases were being dropped here, especially with the pop goes the weasel as well. It's going to make, I believe that's 20 seconds of progress just gone immediately with the use of pop, as it takes, a good 80 seconds to do a gen. And we have Laurie getting caught out as well. This is going to be a 4K at 1 gen remaining. It's looking to be. I don't think Laurie's going to be able to make it anywhere, as this is very commonly known as a dead part of the map here. A big old dead zone, but a really nice juke. Going to be able to go deeper into the map, potentially even to this pallet at the main building here. Might be enough to get to the hatch if she can last long enough, and not quite. Oh, if she parked that a little better and potentially made it to that pallet there. Wait, that might have been a hatch escape, Q.
Yeah, that would have been close there. Instead, though, the 4K at 4 generators, meaning that if Owned can come out and simply complete the gens, you don't even have to escape the trial. You just simply have to complete the gens, and you will be moving on to the quarterfinals. So definitely going to be feeling good here and got to be feeling confident heading into our next trial, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. The scores are looking like 24 points to Endless and only 8 points to Own for getting those 4 gens done. The win condition is, dare I say, as steep as they get right now. Owned on the killer side for this Blight game here, they need to 4K with only 3 gens done as opposed to 4 if they want to win this. So we'll find out how they do right after this quick intermission.
All right, let's take another trip on back into the fog here. And it all comes down to this here. Walking on in, needing to get the 4K, or just simply getting people out, or yeah, needing to get the 4K with 3 gens remaining in order to beat the result that we had seen from our last killer here. This is going to be extremely tough.
It is going to be very difficult. The win condition being 2 gens remaining, I believe, is when the 4K needs to happen from our killer for Owned here. So the survivors knowing that they only have to complete 4 gens to get the victory here, I believe. Or is that just going to tie up the score? It will tie up the score, actually.
Complete last round, yep.
They will need to pop all the gens if they want to get the victory here. So we see a very interesting build coming out from Pox here, which in turn might be able to help them get that win condition. But we'll have to see how this trial plays out. Some really nice jukes from Bulba here, avoiding getting that hit there. Almost, I'd say, 80 seconds into the trial here, not being able to even get an injure state, whereas we saw Broken getting a hook at least 60 seconds into the trial.
Yeah, and not only are we missing a hook right now, but I don't know if you happened to hear that sound notification across the map, but that was the Ruin getting cleansed. And with needing to get the 4K before 4 gens pop, basically, if you want the win, or at least doing it as the 4th gen pops for the tie here, it's a steep condition. And now that you don't have the help from the regression here, we're about to be losing our 2nd perk as well. There goes the Corrupt Intervention off the gen. So only 2 perks at your disposal and still no injured states. Right now, the pressure's really getting turned up.
As we hear those pistons pumping on those mid-gens here, we hear a gen popping across the way and still no hooks yet. Things are starting to get more and more stressful for Owned. Nice pallet throw there, not quite able to get the stun there, but main building is slowly starting to lose his resources as we still have the main building gen up here. Dixie looping this main building here, not afraid to use these resources if he has to prevent any hits from happening.
Yeah, and I mean, now going to be able to move back a little bit more towards the mid part of the map, and it's going to cause Pox to go ahead and break chase here, knowing that there's a strong tile here at main still to be used, knowing that they need to get out elsewhere and start putting some pressure on some generators. I mean, we've already seen 1 pop. We can probably assume that we've got our squad split up across multiple gens. Otherwise, wouldn't be surprised to see generator number 2 coming across relatively soon here. And I mean, right now, it just seems like our survivors from Endless want to make sure that they end this relatively quick. Oh my goodness.
Oh no, we've just had 2 more gens popping across the ways here. No, and another beautiful dodge from Bulba here. Things are starting to get very, very stressful for Owned here. The win condition becoming more and more difficult to reach, but bear in mind, a lot of these resources aren't being used right now. Nice vault from Bulba here, trying to waste as much time as possible here. Gonna be vaulting the long wall here. Should be able to get a hit here. There we go. This is the first hit of the trial. 3 gens have been done. Ruin has come and gone. Corrupt Intervention has come and gone. Thanatophobia is only just now starting to come into play as we do see the first down happening right near the basement.
Yeah, and this is going to be big. It's also a hook here in the middle of the map. I don't know if I would waste time going in the basement, as we do see generator number 4 getting popped here, and this is tough. I mean, you can also hear this generator next to us has a whole lot of progress trying to go for the M1, not able to make a connection. And since we had heard this gen with so much progress, don't want to start the chase just quite yet. Instead, we're going to hit it with a little bit of pop goes the weasel. 25% instant regression here, going to be coming in, double checking in on the save. There's no BT. Yo, we've got 3 people in the game. We couldn't even hook my homie up with some borrowed time back onto the ground after a very long first chase. Definitely got to be feeling bad. However, we have to remember only one more gen needs to be complete. We see Nancy going into the main building, a very strong tile to be able to work with here. Pox does realize the situation, tries to double back. I don't know if we have anyone coming in to get the pickup on our friend. But oh, there's the pickup off the ground. I'm not sure if that, I think that was with an unbreakable here. We also saw the adrenaline value onto Nancy, and that's 5 generators complete. So that is endless after dropping the first set, winning back-to-back sets and taking home the dub over Owned.
Man, you really hate to see it. Owned really have funneled the bag here, but the Survivor performance from Endless here, they really do deserve the win for how well they've managed to come back from being down a set.
No way.
Make it to this point, and a beautiful body block is gonna cause our injured bowler to be able to keep on kicking. Nice pallet stun. They both escape. We have all our survivors leaving this trial with only 1 hook state.
That is absolutely insane here. Endless really turning up the heat. 1 staging a Blight on Gas Heaven to seal the deal here in winners bracket round number 3. That is absolutely phenomenal. We often talk about momentum being big, and talking about winning the 3rd set here 45-11. Endless is going to have so much momentum, and I'm going to be excited to see what Endless does next weekend.
If you ain't show something, you just don't wanna be. You wanna be me, but you will never be.